What's up, y'all? It's just most Desmos. Drew Fisher, we're back in that video. Nah, I analyzed every wild Kratt suit. They toxic. Oh my god, bro. Last time it was something with the Lion King. I ain't get that point. Let's see what's going on with this wild Kratt. If you're new to this channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We're on the road to 500. And let's see what's going on with this, bro.
Wild Kratt's power suits. Body horror. Bones distorted into a half attempt at man. Poison secreting from both skin, but also channeling its way to the heart. These are the true horrors of the Wild Kratt's power suits. But why? How are these suits from a PBS Kids show so terrifying? Well, in this video, I explain all of it, from the science of the most dangerous power suits and how their utter warping of biology is very much not safe. After ranking each one from safe as most deadly, I promise you this video is not one you've seen before. Let me explain. Let's start all this out by just laying out the most basic information that is very important. These suits are built from a creature power disk based on the animal that models its DNA and alters the original DNA of the Kratt brothers to mimic the abilities of an animal. It also alters the brain, literal skeleton, and sometimes can take over in a horrifying animalistic way, giving primal instincts to our brothers. But
yeah, I mean, he right though. It does though. So there's a few episodes that happen though. I ain't gonna hold you.
Most importantly, they're still humans. They have human biology at heart, like a human heart, and we know that because they can talk and act pretty normal. The series itself only began using the more advanced suits to alter the entire body. In season 4 and onwards, there will be about 7 major animals and, well, 1 not truly animal from there and beyond to talk about. Let me explain. Let's start with our first animal being the Antarctic ice fish. The most important thing to note here is these fish are not human. I know, it's shocking, but I mean that in a very specific way, in that just because the suits alter bone structure, some elements of DNA, and biology doesn't mean they completely remove the human, or these guys wouldn't be the Kratt brothers, they'd be the Antarctic fish brothers. See, this leads us to a very big problem, which is these fish have adapted to a certain temperature, being the Antarctic waters of negative 1.9 Celsius, or 28.6 Fahrenheit, which is below the freezing point of normal blood. This is why humans get hypothermia in cold water. So how exactly do these fish get around that? Well, they don't have something called hemoglobin, and that is officially the stupidest fucking name for anything I've ever heard. It sounds like the evil twin for my goblin mascot. His name is Mowgli. But no, this stuff is important actually, and while ice fish are the only vertebrate on Earth without it, this leads them to having transparent blood. Now they're also missing red blood cells and no oxygen-carrying protein, but the missing hemoglobin, which transports oxygen from lungs to the rest of the body, being missing kinda causes this. Now the reason they have this adaptation is because cold water holds way more dissolved oxygen than warm water does.
Nah, I'm not gonna hold you. That's why stuff like watch this.
This adaptation is because cold water holds way more
stuff like this. We just don't need to see that in the real world. I'm not gonna hold you. Because who am I about to be a deep diver or somebody that's trying to be curious and want to see? And see, I could have really been messed up with it, brought up that yeah, you know, but I ain't. Yeah, that's why I don't trust the water, bro. Unless it's something came from the water bottle or from a sink. I never would go to the ocean or a lake or a swamp or nothing. I'm good, bro.
Dissolve oxygen than warm water does, making it so the Antarctic seas ends up being a soup of oxygen, so there's no real need for the process we humans do when the fish can just absorb all the oxygen through their gills and dissolve it directly into their plasma. It really is just the cause of being raised in different conditions, but it is important because if humans lost hemoglobin, they'd lose oxygen capacity by 90% and your brain would die in minutes. So yeah, this is bad, no shit. But it's not as bad as the poisonous dart frog, which would literally kill you from the inside from the power suit. See, the problem here is that the poisonous dart frog is poisonous, not venomous, which means they actually
That's a real question. How could they touch the poison frogs if they can't touch them? Unless they touch it with gloves. Then I don't know.
Of toxins that they store in their skin and harm anything that touches them. And these guys are very deadly. They can kill up to 10 to 20 fully grown men all because of batrachosin. See, this toxin attacks the sodium channels in nerves and muscle cells. These channels are kind of important as they control simple things like muscle contraction, nerve signals, brain activity, heartbeat, and breathing. They are normally supposed to open and close rapidly like a heartbeat to create electrical signals through your body, but these toxins these frogs emit forces them open permanently. This very obviously kills you, and there's a big reason the frogs don't kill themselves and are immune to the toxin coursing their skin, but also inside them. See, their toxins do not blind their sodium channels as they're kind of special, making it so the toxins are useless against them. So what would happen if a normal human using this stupid fictional machine that turns them into a half-poisoned dart frog but also human has these toxins coursing their body? Well, they die. See, the human skin is not a sealed container, and it sweats, sheds cells, and most importantly, absorbs chemicals, and also has the blood vessels right below it, so your skin would end up absorbing the toxin and killing you. Moving forward to the mantis shrimp, again underwater, we find another issue caused by our own body. See, this guy is famous for punching super hard and being very powerful, and if scaled to human size would make you the hold, which is cool and all until you look at the science and you realize these guys don't just punch hard, no, they instead deliver the fastest strike in the animal kingdom. See, their club moves so fast it creates captivation bubbles that literally explode like tiny bombs. Now, how fast is that exactly? Well, the speed of mantis shrimp strike is 50 plus miles per hour, and they accelerate at 10,000 G-force in literally just 3 milliseconds. Now, comparing that to say a handgun, well, they go faster. It takes bullets much longer to actually accelerate. This is the real
fish that is. Golly. Type of fishes these, bro? They look like some frog fishes. Got the frog face, but the fish body. You know, like the piranha scales.
That to say a handgun, well, they go faster. It takes bullets much longer to actually accelerate. This is the real power of the mantis shrimp, and their biology obviously is built to handle it. The key is their spring load arms. See, they don't actually use muscles actually in the punch, as muscles are just not fast enough. Instead, they have an organic spring and latch system where their muscles slowly compress a saddle-shaped spring inside them that they latch to hold the tension that when swinging releases, making all that stored energy explode instantly. Their fist, to be honest, is built like a fucking crossbow. Now, the club is doing this, of course, underwater, moving through the ocean at insane speed, meaning the pressure behind the club drops extremely fast, causing the water to literally boil. This creates shockwaves, flashes of heat, and a literal burst of light around the mantis shrimp that can have the inside of the bubbles around them reach thousands of degrees or just a split second, but still causing an explosion after it collapses. So how is this not good for a human? Well, because the power suit when turning you into a mantis shrimp human hybrid will not give you all the biological elements of a mantis shrimp, so the recoil which mantis shrimp's entire—
Nah, you thinking physically the suit will transfer your bones into these type of, you know, different forms and stuff like that. But how everybody else is looking at it, it's like, no, it's just a suit. It's not gonna do all that. It's gonna have it already built in and stuff like that. But you looking at it like and deep in the blood, the bones, the breathing and all that other stuff. Okay, I'm catching your drift now.
Our body are built to handle would just kill you. But what exactly would happen to, say, your arm? Well, the strike is going to generate basically the comparable force to 22 caliber bullets, breaking the bones underneath, and then traveling through your entire body, and giving you extremely deathly brain damage, leaving you a pile of mush. Oh my god. Okay, so taking our current 3, let's rank them from least to most dangerous, or more accurately, the least to most painful, because you're dying to all of them. Starting out, we got our first animal, the Antarctica ice fish, which by far is the best fate. You die very quickly, lose brain capacity almost instantly, and hopefully just pass out from the freezing waters. Now getting to the most violent death by far, we have the mantis shrimp, which loses to the frog, because it's also the quickest. The strike is done in 3 milliseconds, so your horrible brain damage and skeleton shattering is also gonna happen in less than a minute, and you'll probably just die from the explosion surrounding your body. But going into the final animal of this batch, we have the poisonous dart frog, which actually inspired me to make this video in the first place, because dear god is this horrifying. Your body is filled with a poison that will shut you down with your pain receptors, screaming as your heart cannot keep up, and your own skin is killing you. This is a literal horror fate and fits right in with my body horror pitch. And with that, let's move on to our second batch with the horrifying beaked whale. Let me explain.
Explain.
I've heard many things about the legendary
Mando.
Mandalorian. And this is Grogu.
This Friday.
I'll make this all simple for you. If you liked what you've seen so far, subscribing and liking the video so you can see more videos like this really helps. This video and my last video have been extra special with some special graphics and a little polish. If you like it, doing all the things tells me. Either way, back to the video. Going underwater into another hellscape, we can find the next death trap our brothers put themselves in for fun, being the beaked whale. See, beaked whales hold the mammal dive record where they routinely dive 1,000 to 3,000 meters deep and stay underwater for 60 to 121 minutes with pressures over 300 of the atmosphere. Now comparing this to humans, our whales are going 75 times deeper than divers do when they are actively risking their lives. This pressure increase is very bad for human bodies as they are full of compressible air pockets like lungs, or between bones, intestines, all the not important stuff. The biggest problem here is we're not the environment themselves the Kratt brothers obviously explored in these bodies with, but the bodies themselves. See, air is about 78% nitrogen. Now when going to high pressures, nitrogen dissolves into your blood and tissue, and if you ascend too quickly, a form of poison or just sickness occurs inside you called decompression sickness. This makes you have joint pain, paralysis, and obviously in the worst case scenarios, heart attacks, brain damage, and well, death. Now beaked whales completely avoid this with a trick that literally shuts down their lungs. See, their lungs collapse in a safe way on purpose at deep depths so that gas exchange can stop, including nitrogen, which means they can safely move at their crazy speeds without, dying. Now, humans aren't just gonna gain these lungs, even with the power suits, because that would heavily change their biology past the powers of these suits. So what exactly would happen to a real human underwater during all this? Well, when trying out your new ability of incredibly fast swimming, you'd actually go a little too fast and have yourself a very painful death, with some collapsing lungs and severe brain damage, all because they wanted to have fun. But
Dang. That's crazy. And all that could happen, bro. Like, if it was like real life talking about
this fate is still probably a better one than the next one, because sadly, not a choice, I have to move on to the stupidest thing ever made by man. The time they turned into acorns. Okay, this is just the worst one by far. Not in pain, but just in stupidity. An acorn doesn't have organs, or a heart, which is an organ. They also don't have muscles, or blood, or anything a human being needs to live. See, the reason an acorn is alive is because they, as a plant, can basically pause their own existence, or more accurately, they can slow down their metabolism, and while having no organs to feed tissue, they instead have very independent cells that store nutrition. As a plant, acorns just have a whole different form of existence from all fronts, and with the Kratt brothers, or really any life form that is not a plant on Earth turns into one, it just would stop existing. You would be left a literal pebble with shriveled, useless organs inside your hard shell body, which to be fair is possibly the best fate so far, and not nearly as insane and slow as the horrors of another sea animal being the blue-ringed octopus, which would not only kill you but literally drive you mad while doing it. Let me explain. Okay, moving on, we got the blue-ringed octopus, which has the insane instant power of paralysis, carrying something called TTX, which is the same toxin in pufferfish, but in a more concentrated, weaponized form. These animals have one of the most potent neurotoxins around. Now, what exactly does that do to someone like, say, the Wildrats? Well, remember those sodium channels from our fraud murders? Well, this toxin does the opposite, shutting them off permanently by blocking them with the toxin, meaning all those electrical signals can't reach anywhere. Now, of course, just like the frog, these octopus have modified sodium channels, meaning they are immune to it, but humans are not. And the worst part is those will take a very long time to actually die from. See, these—
Nah, I ain't lying to you, bro. But it just strange how like all this will really like happen if like the transferring and all that other stuff. And bro, it's like I don't know, son. But which one of y'all think which one which one of y'all favorite animal suits that they actually transfer? I ain't lying to you. One of my favorite ones I like to see had to be, I say, the lion, spider monkeys. See the little gecko that run in water, and like I like the whale one too.
toxins leave you unconscious, but very much alive, letting you slowly lose oxygen as you can't move or even scream for help. You'd look dead to anyone around, but in reality, you're in just a horrified cycle of pain till it finally kills you. Oh my god. And we are now at our not truly final batch, as I'm saving the worst animal and fate for last, but still a good amount of horrifying and painful deaths. So to start this off, we have the easily best fate of the entire video, which is being an acorn, because you're just not alive. You instantly stop existing in comparison to literally anything else. With the guaranteed death, we need it to be instant, so the acorn is by far best. What is my job? Moving on, we have the beaked whale, which I would say sits very nicely as the third best, right before the mantis shrimp in horror. This is because while a bad fate, there's a good chance you just go brain dead and wouldn't feel a thing, which makes it easily a better fate than our next. Let me explain. And with all I've gone over, all the horror and science and ranking, nothing compares to this one. It's not even obvious, it's simply deadly. The barbarian beetle, a living chemical cannon that defends itself by firing a boiling hot chemical spray out of its abdomen, not made of venom or spit, but literal internal explosion that it fires out like a machine gun. The spray is 100 degrees Celsius or 212 Fahrenheit and has a chemical makeup that is highly irritating to organic matter in general. They function by having two separate chambers in their abdomen, with the first holding hydrogen peroxide and the second hydrotwin. These two chemicals, when mixed, react in a very violent manner. The reaction, of course, heats to an extreme temp, but also creates rapid, intense pressure that can be used to propel that mixture in burst. Now, all of this is very particular in how it's built, with the chamber having extremely heat-resistant walls and flexible so it can redirect our recoil outwards. Humans just don't have this, and the two-chamber system probably isn't even in our Kratt brothers when using the suit, so what the fuck is gonna happen when they try to use their weapon? Or to be honest, just exist with this inside them? Well, the biggest problem is the hydrogen peroxide is a very deadly toxin to humans and cannot be stored inside them without destroying their tissue. So we get cell death as tissue burns and DNA is damaged, like bleaching your insides without bleach, but 100 times worse. Both of these chemicals, of course, when combined, would make you a sealed chamber that explodes from the inside as your organs blow like balloons and you boil alive.
Oh, that's still nasty. That's nasty work. I ain't lying to you. I'm stomping on that with the insect.
This is easily the worst fate. Oh my god. And with that, we are done with our analysis.
Nah, you explained too deep of the stuff. End of the day, it's still it's still a kid show, dog. But I get what your point in reference of all this, bro. I get it. It's like on some reality stuff, like it would get inside your bones and stuff like that. You wouldn't and stuff like that. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We're on the road to 500, and I'm out.